Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Foolish Fish Esoteric News with your weekly updates on the worlds of esoteric and occult book publishing and arts and events and paraphernalia. I hope you can hear me okay. I just recorded this whole thing and found out that there was no sound, and it turns out that my lovely super expensive microphone is no longer being picked up by my computer. I don't know what's going on. I need to look into the drivers and so on. I will probably find out exactly what went on later on this afternoon, but first of all I think it's important to bring you the news, the important stuff, the stuff that we're all waiting for, and in order to do so I just first of all want to thank Miskatonic Books as always for their very kind sponsorship of this show. Thank you so much, miskatonicbooks.com, for your sponsorship. Miskatonicbooks.com are the first port of call whenever you're looking for a rare esoteric or occult book, a book that's been out of print for a very long time, maybe a book that's just been released, but maybe that it's been printed abroad, or maybe it's been printed by an unreliable publisher who's difficult to get in touch with when things go wrong. Miskatonic Books is just a safe haven, a place where you can get your esoteric and occult books safely, beautifully packaged so that they don't arrive, in a terrible state or whatever. They pay great attention to their to the way the books are packaged so that you receive them in a very good state. And I really recommend going to check out, of course, their website, miskatonicbooks.com, but also their Facebook page, and just leave a like on there, follow them or whatever, and you'll get a very good idea of what the great books of the moment are. On a day-to-day basis they post what books they're receiving, what rare books they have received and are currently on their shelves, and if you get in there fast enough, then you might get a chance of getting one of those rarer books. And actually it's only through looking at miskatonicbooks.com's website. I don't know what's happened. It seems that like maybe, I don't know, I need to check my email settings or something, but I didn't get, or I don't think I got notification that Terrors of the Night is actually out. It's out. Look at this. This is, of course, from Atramentus Press. Terrors of the Night by Louise S. Milne is a book on the concept of dream. Let me just go over to Atramentus Press's website to give you a better idea of what's going on here. This volume presents essays on the history of dreams and nightmares, in particular focusing on how these have been visualized and how and why these visualizations change. Using the concept of dream culture, the book explores dreams of fear and joy throughout history, examining their context in myth and lived experience through their imagery and their significance in art, literature, magic, and religion. That sounds like exactly the kind of book that I would love to read and get involved with, and that kind of thing. So you can naturally buy the book directly from Atramentus Press. If you live in the UK, then that's definitely going to be the cheapest way to do that. Or if maybe if you're close to London, then you can probably pick the book up from Watkins Books by now, I imagine. And well, yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool that the book is finally out, and it's clear that Miskatonic Books seem to have some copies already, so that's really cool for those of you living in the United States, so that you avoid some of those shipping fees and things like that. All right, news from Hollythorn Press. So there's an update on this history of Irish magic. So Hollythorn Press have been putting out some very interesting books recently, and this is an upcoming book. So the idea is that this is just a little teaser, really. The pages have all been printed. They're going to the binders to be sewn. It's all coming together, literally. Here is Mog Roith, the chief druid of Ireland, dressed in his robe made from the skin of a brown bull and his mask of bird's feathers. He's about to rain fire on the army of Cormac MacAirt. from about this. Excuse me, more about this and how to make magical druidic fire in A History of Irish Magic, coming soon from Hollythorn Press. I'm guessing that this is the cover illustration. Very beautiful, very, very striking, of course. And so I'm guessing, oh, here we go. I'm guessing that, yeah, they've got a link to the artist's details right there, which is very cool. All right, we'll find out more about Cormac MacAirt, excuse me, about Mogroith, excuse me, about Mogroith and his interesting looking owl helmet there in the upcoming book from Hollythorn Press. There we go. Brian Johnson, thank you so much for drawing our attention to Anulorum Experimenta. So Brian says, I had the opportunity to preview this new work by Regulus Hess, forthcoming from Hadean Press, and it's an outstanding example of both a meticulously thorough edition and an elegant translation of a classic and heretofore unavailable in English treatise of medieval necromancy, which is to say, astrologically inflected spirit compulsion. So getting spirits to do what you are asking them to do using astrology to help out in the process. If any of the words in that last sentence make you as excited as they do me, you should probably check this out. Well, this does sound very, very exciting, and the book is already available to add to your cart through Hadean Press's website, Anulorum Experimenta, and you can read all about it here. I had no idea about this work from Peter of Abano, or Peter d'Abano, to whom the Heptameron, of course, is attributed, at least the Heptameron being his take on this particular tradition. And yes, so it looks like the experimental ring, I suppose, is the experiments of the rings, more precisely. There we go. Draws on the Arab to Latin transmission of image magic. The 40 rings and other charms are attributed to the 28 mansions of the moon, and unlike other ring texts, are largely based around the creation of illusions. Almost all of the spirits mentioned in the creation of the rings and their activation are unique to this text, not occurring in any other known grimoire text. I'm so excited. It sounds so good. It sounds really, really cool. So yes, you can see £35 is the price for the presumably hardcover. Yes, a hardcover edition. Yes, printed on ATGSM cream paper, bound in black Wibbelin buckram cloth with cream head and tail bands, printed marbled end papers. This edition is limited to 400 copies. We expect to begin shipping at the end of July. Very cool stuff indeed. Right, so that's a little pre-order. Good news from Matt Orin, saying that he has just signed a contract with Llewellyn for a deluxe edition of Psychic Witch. Well, if you've been living under a rock, Psychic Witch has been one of the most popular, the most one of the best-selling occult books of recent years, and very, very rightly so. Actually, if you've seen my review of the book, you'll know that I enjoyed it very much. I think that a lot of people have found a very relatable access to magic through Matt Orin's first book of so far a trilogy, and yeah, very, very good stuff. And this one has been translated into so many languages. In fact, it's one of the few good quality books that I've found over in well, in my local little witchy shops that do their very best here in Poland, in my little my local Polish shops. I'm sure that there are some wonderful Polish esoteric shops out there, but yeah, my little local ones, yeah, they they struggle a little to find some really great quality stuff. Of course, maybe the audience out there isn't quite what it might be in central London or in the US. But yes, I've certainly seen Polish editions of Psychic Witch over here, which has gladdened my heart. And it looks like a deluxe edition is going to get, so obviously a hardcover. It'll have a ribbon bookmark, coloured interior, a foreword to the new edition by Ivo Dominguez Jr., so Devon's original foreword will still be in it. An introduction to the new edition, so Matt's old introduction will still be there as well. An extra chapter full of exercises and techniques. So he's just saying that these extra little bits will not be added to the regular, audio book and things like this. They will be exclusive to the deluxe edition. I just wanted to say a little word about the Llewellyn Deluxe editions. I was unfair, I think, in my roundup a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago now, when I was talking about the the Complete Encyclopedia of Egyptian Deities, where I showed you how beautiful the deluxe edition was, but I said that the pages were perfect bound, in other words, stuck directly to the spine. But actually looking closely, because the work is so fine and each signature is so thin, right? They've just sewn so many signatures together that I didn't spot it. They are actually Smith sewn, and so I just want to extend an apology to Llewellyn Books for suggesting that their deluxe edition were perfect bound. No, they're actually Smith sewn, and so finely Smith sewn that I made that mistake. So my apologies, and really hats off. That's beautiful, fine work. So I think we can be very excited for a deluxe edition of Psychic Witch. I think that's really, really very cool indeed. All right. Looking forward to it. Now, news from Anathema Publishing. It's not really news. They're just announcing that they have, although I do have a bit of news from Anathema Publishing coming up in a second. They were just announcing that they have back in stock all the issues of Hellebore. So Hellebore is a magazine that focuses on British folklore. Okay, so it's not going to teach you magic or anything like that. It's not going to go into rituals and things like this. But it's more like little works of fiction, beautiful photography, thoughts expanded upon. Just giving you an insight into the feel of British folklore. It's not for everyone, but for those of you who like British folklore, it's fantastic. So I really liked this picture, simply, right, with all of the different titles of the different issues of Hellebore throughout the issues, right, since its inception. I think that's very cool. All right, so if you're in Canada or in North America, then yeah, getting your editions of Hellebore through Anathema Publishing, just head over to anathemapublishing.com and go over to their books and prints section, and you'll find Hellebore over on the left-hand side there. You click on it and you'll be able to see all of the Hellebore issues, but you'll probably, while you're here, want to check out all of the other books that Anathema Publishing stock and make available in Canada and North America, and actually in the rest of the world as well. Really, nothing stops you from ordering directly from Anathema Publishing. Particular Anathema Publishing's own publications. And speaking of which, there was just a few minutes ago information that Aurorae, which I guess was the very first book published through Anathema Publishing, and the book through which I discovered this wonderful publishing company. Maybe was it the first book? I don't know, but it was certainly the first book from Gabriel Macari, and it was certainly published in the early days of Anathema Publishing. And this paperback edition is the edition to which I wrote a foreword, and it seems like this paperback edition is running out. Okay, so in the post they basically say that we can't really just have an infinite run of these paperbacks. We have to to order in a certain amount, and then let that run down, and then they'll probably republish at some point in the future. But if you don't want to wait, if you want to get access to all that very fascinating goodness, then yeah, now is definitely the time to act. It seems like Cyclic Law have got 4 to 5 copies left in stock. Heka Books has got 4 copies as well. Miskatonic Books have sold out. Watkins Books in the UK, excuse me, have got about 10 copies left in the store. Courtyard Books also about 10. And so in North America, only Anathema Publishing, right, themselves still have some copies of Aurorae over here. There we go. So they've got about 20 left, if I understand correctly. Yeah, the last 20 copies of this title. Yeah, so act fast. Okay, let's move on to news from... So this was pointed out to me by Dr. Alexander Cummins. It wasn't pointed out to me directly. He was talking about it on Facebook, and it looks great. It looks really exciting. There's a whole article written about this book. So it's called Cunning Folk, Life in the Era of Practical Magic. The idea is that cunning folk are essentially the local witch doctors who aren't... Let me read you the blurb. It's very well written, actually. Imagine it's the year 1600 and you've lost your precious silver spoons, or maybe they've been stolen. Perhaps your child has a fever, or you're facing a trial. Maybe you're looking for love or escaping a husband. What do you do? In medieval and early modern Europe, your first port of call might have been cunning folk, practitioners of service magic. Neither feared like witches nor venerated like saints, they were essential to daily life. For people across ages, genders, and social ranks, practical magic was a cherished resource for navigating life's many challenges. And Tabitha Stanmore is telling us all about it, and it sounds really interesting, really involving, and there seems to be an audiobook version of it as well, and a Kindle edition as well, and a hardcover. And I just wanted to point out that the UK, so this is the cover of the US version, and I'm not going to open a new tab with the UK because it makes my address pop up for some reason. Amazon have started doing this, and I just don't want the hassle of people starting to send me unsolicited gifts, which are of course very lovely, but I have to pay for the shipping, not for the shipping, but the customs fees, and it gets extremely expensive. So I won't show it to you because I don't have it up on the screen already. But the UK version isn't this pink garish cover. It's kind of darker blue, so it might go a little bit more incognito on your shelf than this very bright pink. It's very pretty in my opinion, but yes, you might want to check out also the UK version and see if there's a if you prefer it, maybe. Anyway, yeah, all looks very cool, very exciting, and I'm sure it's already probably on many of your watch lists. Alchemical Healer, who's one of our admins on the Foolish Fish Discord, pointed this one out to me, which I seemed to have missed. It's called The Kabbalah of Light, Ancient Practices to Ignite the Imagination and Illuminate the Soul. Hey, who knows? Even it's possible even that I did point it out. It has been 2 years after all, and I definitely don't remember every single one of the books that I've pointed out to you guys on these news videos. But let's see. The Ancient Practices to Ignite the Imagination and Illuminate the Soul shares 159 short exercises and practices to tap instantly into your subconscious mind and receive answers to your most important questions. Explains how to dialogue with and understand the imagery and metaphors that arise during these practices, offers powerful practices to discover your areas of stuckness and quickly clear them, thus releasing past traumas and ancestral patterns and freeing the flow of imagination for enhanced creativity and joy in life. Step-by-step guide to Kabbalistic practices to connect with your natural inner genius and liberate the light within you. Catherine Shainberg reveals how to tap instantly into your subconscious and receive answers to urgent questions. It sounds practical, and I'm all about the practical. I like this idea very much indeed, and I'm guessing that probably some of you watching probably like the idea of what you're hearing as well. So thank you very much, Alchemical Healer, for pointing this one out. Okay, let's take a look at what David Allen Hulse is saying about so the Museo dei Tarocchi seemed to have made available 500 copies of his Pontifex Tarot. Now, the Pontifex Tarot was a Kickstarter. I believe it did quite well. And, well, basically, he's saying here that if you go through the Museo dei Tarocchi, then you can possibly pick up a deck, even if you didn't back the project. However, I'll be honest with you, I went over to the Museo dei Tarocchi website. It is, in Italian and in English. If you read the second half of these, then you'll see that it is also in English. But I couldn't find the tarot. Maybe I'm just not looking very carefully. It's very possible. But I couldn't find his tarot. Anyway, maybe some of you who are more persistent than I might find it and point it out in the comments down below, and I'd be very grateful, or at least I'm sure the people who are looking for this particular tarot deck will be very grateful. Just for your information, it is a really nice. How to say, Western system tarot. David Allen Hulse is a very close friend of Lon-Marie Duquette's, so you get possibly an idea of the ceremonial magic slant of this particular deck. It's very beautiful, as you can see. Yeah, really, really nice. There we are. Okay, this is a deck that really ignited my imagination. I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm afraid, but I'll let you read it off the screen for yourselves. It's a second edition, and I did actually point the first edition out when it was kickstarted a few years ago. I think I was talking about this towards the early days when I was doing this news video, and it's essentially it's proposed as the mother of all European playing cards and tarot decks. And so they've remastered each of these cards, and you can see what a beautiful job they've done. It looks really beautiful, and I really like these long format cards. I think they're very beautiful. Right, and they're working off some Yeah, sometimes very difficult to make out scans, photocopies of cards that sometimes don't even exist anymore, and so they've done a fantastic job, and they've remastered them into an entire deck that looks very, very beautiful. Really, really lovely concept and very beautifully executed. The price is about right, I think, for a Kickstarted deck. €56 seems to be kind of average nowadays for a Kickstarted deck. Yeah, it just looks very, very beautiful. There we go. Just and if it is indeed, they give their ideas on how it may in fact have influence to other decks and so on. Over here, the full explanation. Anyway, if it is in fact at the origin of European decks, then then that's going to be interesting for many people. Okay, so Naomi reached out to me, Naomi, the author of this article, and said to me, well, basically, we've got these dream circles. Does that sound interesting to you? I said, yeah, it kind of does. So she sent me this this article that she wrote, in which she talks about how anyone leading a dream circle can make the space where people are sharing about their dreams a safe space, just a space where it's where everyone feels comfortable doing so, and therefore it can be a successful dream circle. And so this article explains all about how to do that. But at the bottom, she shares a Patreon link. The Patreon is called Everything is an Oracle. And over here, there we go. And through this Patreon, Naomi and her associate C. Vivi offer monthly dream circles. So if dream circles is something that sounds exciting to you, interesting in any way, then head over to Naomi's Patreon and take a look at what you can see there, and decide if that's something that you'd like to take part in. I think the prices start at quite a reasonable place, and so if you'd like to, it's a monthly thing, it seems. I think the latest Dream Circle just took place yesterday or something. Anyway, quite recently. So the next one will be in about a month's time. It sounds like a nice little community if you like the idea of dreams and you like the idea of a dream circle where people are exchanging ideas about their dreams or sharing their dreams and then giving insights on how they think about another person's dream and things like this. Sounds really nice. And then finally, this is my board game of the week, Rebirth limited edition, brand new tile laying game from Rainer Knizia. So Rainer Knizia is he's probably the biggest board game name. Whenever he comes up with a new game, it invariably becomes a bestseller. People fall in love with his games all the time. It's his great games really, people who really get into games really love his great games, and he's got so many games that are gateway games for people just starting off. This one, I'll be honest with you, I haven't looked very deeply into it. Just the name Rainer Knizia was like, okay, no, that seems good. But what I really like here is that it's set in a lush and hopeful future. We don't get very much of that, do we? Mostly it's kind of Blade Runner bleakness, isn't it? But this looks very pretty, and I like the idea of kind of putting that kind of maybe a greener future into the public consciousness, so that can be what we're going towards and maybe aspiring to. I rather like that. The components just look gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. I like the idea of a relatively short game there with 60 minutes. Rado is saying a Spiel des Jahres, which is like the really the biggest prize that a board game can get. Candidate, I think so. And yeah, and reasonably priced as well, which is very, very cool. 45 euros, when most of the board games that I see coming up on Kickstarter tend to be around 90, 100, 120 euros. That's really, really nice to see. The artwork is beautiful, very, very intricate. I love the fact that it's varied. You know, they haven't just taken one tile and you know, just reproduced it. If it's a forest, then it looks like a forest that's spread over several tiles rather than like a forest tile, a forest tile, a forest tile kind of thing, right? And then the two maps that are included are Ireland and Scotland. And yeah, you can take a look at the two maps over here. So it's Scotland right there, and there's Ireland, and I guess, you know, as with any game that involves maps, the likelihood is that there are going to be expansions and that kind of thing, right? Which is cool. But yeah, look at these cool little examples of the tiles there. I think that's really lovely. There we go, folks. That's what I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and join the Patreon if you'd like to support the channel and just keep this whole thing going. And thank you very much to all the supporters who do support the channel through the YouTube memberships, through the Patreon. I really thank you so much. There are different levels at which you can join, and it starts at just $2 a month, which already gives you access to the Foolish Fish Discord server, where you can talk to other members about magical issues, and I'm very often there as well. Yeah, if you'd like to have a one-to-one conversation with me, then those 1 hour video one-to-ones are still available. You can just check out the link down in the description, also in the pinned comment down below, where you can just have an hour with me where we talk about anything that's on your mind. I can give you some recommendations. I can read your tarot if you like, find out what's a useful path for you, give you some insight from the I Ching if that's what's called for, whatever it might be. By all means, go and check those details out down below, and just thank you very much for watching the show. Take care of yourselves and of each other, and I'll see you very soon with another video. See you very soon. Bye bye.